Hello, hello. Heather Jean here with another episode of Confidence with Coffee. And in this segment, we are talking about our latest podcast or vodcast episodes. And this episode is all about living in abundance after narcissistic abuse. So, I am Heather Jean. I'm your host for the podcast or vodcast that is on Confidence Through Cabaret. Wherever you get your podcasts, you can search that out for the audio version. Or if you're here on YouTube, you can check out the vodcast playlist and you'll be able to find this episode with the wonderful, beautiful Vanessa VF. And we are talking all about what narcissism is, the stages of it, the way that it manifests, what trauma bonding is, what love bombing is, what toxic familiarity is. So many terms that you might not have come across. But I feel that this is an important topic for us here in Confidence Through Cabaret because we're always talking about raising our confidence through personal life, work life, and stage life. And that's wonderful. There are so many beautiful tools that you can use to really uplift your confidence, and when you go into the lows of your journey, you don't stay down as long, you don't go down as far, and you come right back up. And that confidence journey is an important part of our journey. But what happens when you've tried all of the affirmations and you've tried all of the mindset and you tried, journaling, you maybe been through a mindset coach program and it's not working? Well, there is a possibility for some of us that that is because we are empaths and or we attract narcissistic behavior in others. And that could be in our work life, that could be in our personal life, in our relationships, and that could inhibit or limit our ability to show up. Our literal voice, our shrinking in our body, and it's very wonderful to learn to feel good in your body and to be expansive and unapologetic and take up space and share your message and lift your voice and really reprogram a lot of the things that for many of us, not only but especially women, have been conditioned or programmed into shrinking and being small and being quiet and being a good girl and being all of the right in inverted commas things. But if you are an empath, or if you have been in a relationship where the other person, and again, that could be your family as well, where another person has narcissistic tendencies, then it is very detrimental to our confidence. And so in this episode, and do go check it out if this is resonating with you, we talk about the stages, we talk about what trauma bonding is. We talk, and by going through those stages, it might be that you can recognize more clearly where the narcissistic relationship might have come up. I have been in three what I consider abusive relationships, which means that I have a pattern for attracting narcissism, and most especially because I enjoy the love bonding stage where our love bombing stage where we're just bombed with good feelings. We feel good and complimenting the other person. They're complimenting you, that you feel very good and you can become reliant on that. And so when that happens, if you're with somebody who has narcissistic tendencies, then there is a manipulation that goes on. Now, if you're wondering if that's you, then check out this episode for sure. Vanessa describes it being like, someone deliberately pricking you with a pin, and you're looking around, where's this pin, and you can't find it, and the other person is holding it the whole time and poking you with it. And again, that can occur in lots of different places. But after we have this love bombing moment where we're all loved up and the oxytocin is flowing and we're feeling so good, then that's when the criticisms start to come in. That's when our trust and dependency on that can really put our self-esteem or our self-worth in jeopardy. And I've experienced gaslighting in many forms now. And I think that's why I have this repeated pattern, because I haven't been able to recognize it And it is a huge piece of work to be able to recognize your patterns of what happens when you're in this situation. Now, I won't go into the whole episode because you can find it on the podcast or vodcast, but I'd like to play a clip for you right now. It's about a minute and a half. Let's listen to what Vanessa talks about in terms of, kind of the stages of what happens to us when we're coming out of that relationship. Let's have a look.
And when we talk about state, I talk that's your emotional state. So the first one is victim, where you're very much either still in the relationship or you've kind of just left the relationship, but you're still in that victim state. They did this to me, 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 which yes, they did. Okay, but if you stay there, you stay broken, you stay stuck, and you just stay hurting. Where the next state is going into survivor. So now it's, you realize, like, look, I don't want to feel this anymore. So now I want to start working on my healing. And I want to start, it's not so much, I'm not going to learn everything about narcissists, and I'm not going to be Googling about them, and I don't need to understand what they did to me anymore. But now I'm starting to take responsibility. It's like I always say that the trauma was not your fault. What they did to you was not your fault, but the healing is your responsibility. So that's that second point where people start saying, okay, well, I'm going to now take responsibility. How do I live better? What do I need to do to heal? And then the third one is obviously abundance, where that's where the process that I take my clients through is that now you're living in abundance. Okay. You don't have to be trying to be confident. You just naturally are confident.
Oh, don't we all want to be in that state where we're not trying to be confident? We just naturally are confident. Now, it's not only in narcissistic relationships where we can end up feeling like victim. I've shared with you many times my late husband had dementia and I had chosen to be a carer. He also had quite a lot of abusive approaches, emotionally abusive approaches, things like, everyone who knows you knows these things, and often with narcissism, they know what your buttons are, and they know how to push those because you've been through the love bombing, and you've been through all the trust and building all of that trust, and then they know how to hurt you. And in narcissism, it's a lack of empathy, and it's a deliberate intention to bring the focus back onto themselves. And so but it's not the only time when we can live in or end up in the victim mode. I went through the victim mode, sometimes still go back into the victim mode, around what's happened to me in my own life as a breast cancer survivor, as a widow, and having been a full-time carer. Even sometimes when I'm talking about, my empty nest and my grown children, and I don't have the same kind of relationship as a full-time mother with dependents. And so these stages, we can often get stuck in being a victim, in thinking like a victim, and that limits us. And it makes it even more difficult for us to affirm the things that build our confidence. It makes it even more difficult to kind of move into that feeling good in our body, into having the positive mindset, into being able to feel the feelings and allow them to flow out of you without judging them. And that can be really difficult in itself, because once you're judging those feelings, then you might be thinking, oh, I'm a victim, that shouldn't have happened to me. And so it goes on. Survivor stage is another stage where very often, we kind of say we have survived this, and so now we're living with that story. We're retelling that story, and that's very different to living in abundance, because when you're retelling, this is what's happened to me, and this is what I've survived, then that becomes who you are, is just the survivor. And that is, of course, who you are, but retelling that story then re-triggers a lot of the traumas that have happened from a variety of sources. So if this is speaking to you, go check out the Vodcast episode. Get in touch if you want to talk about it, if you want to ask questions or share comments, or, just even go through, a little bit of a community of Me Too, this has happened, as you're moving through those stages, if that's what's happening for you. And that, of course, doesn't need to be because of narcissistic personality disorder. It could be through life events of all sorts. We all have challenges and we all have those ups and downs, and we're on this journey together. I love having you here. It is an honor and a privilege to have you here. And it is important that we have that support and that community. I have a lot of different programs that help us to be able to reclaim our space, to stop shrinking, to feel really positive about where we are unapologetically, to be able to raise our voice and share our message. And we all deserve to do that. It's something that is my life's work and my passion. How? So check us out anywhere you get your podcast or vodcast. We're on Confidence Through Cabaret on all of the socials except for Twitter. We are at YBYWYS. And I'm at Heather YBYWYS on Clubhouse as well. So hit me up anywhere and let's get into a conversation. Let's jump onto a call. Let's have a dialogue. Those 6 beautiful letters for our Twitter handle stand for It Is Your Body. And it is your world. And it is your stage. Take up space, own it. Let's go through the healing together. Let's build that confidence on our confidence journeys. Thank you for being here. I will see you next time when we have another episode and we have our confidence with coffee. Bye for now.